Hey guys, welcome to another watching update. While my routine of making these appears to have become more than weekly, I think now it's just going to be something that I do really regularly since it's just so fun doing it, and I do watch enough movies to do this regularly enough. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this video. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I haven't seen the first 3 Mission Impossible movies yet, but I had no trouble following this movie, and from that perspective, I thought that this was a great thriller with the right balance of story and action sequences. Tom Cruise delivers a great performance, as do the supporting cast, which includes Simon Pegg. There are great moments of suspense in this movie, and I also love how the film spanned across many countries like India and Russia. This movie really just sparked an interest in me to check out the previous 3 Mission Impossible movies sooner, and this is generally just great popcorn entertainment that's done in a way that is full of action but doesn't sacrifice any intelligence. Triumph of the Will. This is the infamous Nazi propaganda film that is considered to be one of the most innovative films in history. It's not the sort of film that you watch for the sake of entertainment given the subject matter, so I looked at this from a history fan's perspective. The film is indeed innovative, and it provides a good insight as to how the German people fell under Hitler's spell, but even from the point of view of it being propaganda or a piece of entertainment, I don't think it really works out of context. There are memorable moments in the film, notably the often nice cinematography and Hitler's speeches, but I feel that the film wastes too much time too often by just showing footage of military marches, and in my opinion, it doesn't really work as anything. I suppose back in 1935 in Germany, this would have been great propaganda, but it's pretty ineffective now. It's certainly worth seeing if you're interested in history like me, but otherwise, I wouldn't exactly recommend watching this film. Snatch. This is a Guy Ritchie film, and I've been getting into his work lately. I've still yet to see Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Rock and Roller, but I found this little British film to be witty in its dialogue and full of several memorable and colourful characters, my favourite of which is Mickey, the Irish gypsy, who's played by the always great Brad Pitt. I like the way in which this film created the right sort of balance to keep the story moving, but also developing all these characters that don't really have any major relations to one another. There is also a really great balance of humour, action, and some drama here and there. It's a really good movie, but I do think it is a little bit overrated, but nonetheless, it is definitely worth seeing more than once. Sherlock Holmes. This is the other Guy Ritchie film that I saw. I saw this in theatres when it came out, but I didn't really appreciate how good this actually was. It has the distinctive directorial style that you can see in Snatch, but it also manages the style in a way where it can function as a movie about Sherlock Holmes and a period piece. It certainly wouldn't be easy to do this properly, but this movie did it really well. The mystery in the film is engaging, to say the least. I love the wittiness in the dialogue, and I love Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Sherlock Holmes, and I also thought that Jude Law was equally great as his partner Watson. Both characters have juxtaposing personalities, which allow the film to have a fair few comedic moments. This is just a great popcorn flick that works in the superficial effects and action territories, but also gives the brain a few things to do as well. Badlands. I've been so damn eager to watch more films by Terrence Malick, and of the 2 I have currently seen, the other being The Thin Red Line, this is the best in my opinion. The film runs pretty short, but the direction is brilliant and sucks you in very well. The atmosphere of the film is great, the adventurous qualities are really likable, and the relationship between Kit and Holly is an engaging love story. But to help it stand out more, the film has quite a few disturbing qualities which make it appear to be more than just a little story about a few lovers on the run, like Bonnie and Clyde or something. The murders are pretty frequent, and it asks the viewer to decide whether or not they want to support these 2 on their journey, or just think more rationally and want them to be caught. It helps the film feel more three-dimensional. Badlands is simply a classic film, and one that I definitely consider to be worth buying on DVD. Frankenstein. It was about time I saw this classic Universal monster movie. I've known about the story of Frankenstein for most of my life, but actually viewing it was a different experience. Boris Karloff delivers a great performance as the monster, and I also think that Colin Clive's performance as Dr. Frankenstein is pretty good too. I don't think really anybody else in the movie is particularly memorable though. Other positives are rooted in the film's great set design and atmosphere. It's impressive to see that they were able to do this so well 80 years ago. While I think Dracula is a better horror classic, this one is definitely great and an essential piece of viewing for any film enthusiast. District 9. I saw this movie about a year and a half ago, not thinking too much of it, but upon a rewatch, I really appreciated how good of a film it was. Its presentation stands out among sci-fi flicks. It has engaging characters and a cool premise with an obvious message towards how governments treat certain people in the world. Sharlto Copley is great in his performance as Wickus. Early in the film, he just comes off as your average worker, but throughout the course of the story where you see his struggles, you really sympathize with him and express a massive distaste towards the authorities of Johannesburg, where the movie is set. On another note, the special effects and alien design are great. Overall, a very original and well-made movie that I think is worth appreciating. The Last House on the Left, the remake. The original Last House on the Left is one of the most disturbing films out there and among my favorite horror films. Given the poor reputation of most remakes, I avoided this for a few years, but I finally gave it a watch and all I can say is that this is a great horror film and one of the best remakes. But I guess that could be attributed to the fact that Wes Craven, the director of the original, had a major role to play in creating this. The film is disturbing just like the original, and the higher budget allows it to be filmed in a more professional and less raw manner. That could be regarded as either a good or a bad thing, varying on your opinion, but I think it's good to see that this one tried to be different from the original, but it never sacrificed its purpose in being utterly messed up. I wasn't the biggest fan of the ending, and I do still prefer the original from 1972, but this is a highly memorable remake and a solid example of a good contemporary horror movie. 25th Hour. I finished watching this a few hours ago and I loved it. I've been watching plenty of Spike Lee movies lately, and in my opinion, this is the best that I've seen from him so far. Outside of me being a big fan of Edward Norton, and that amplifying the enjoyment factor, the story is engaging and is handled very well. I love the way in which the film resolves itself, coming off with an ending that could be considered either happy or sad, and pleasing the audience by punishing all characters who did wrong throughout the movie. The overall theme of improving your life also comes off as pretty moving. Norton's performance is fantastic. The performances by the supporting cast such as Barry Pepper are fantastic, and so is Spike Lee's direction. I'm not sure if all would agree that this is Spike Lee's best movie, but I certainly think so, and I think that even when I go and watch more of his films in the future, I think that I will maintain that opinion. Children of Men. I love seeing films about dystopian futures. The imagination that some writers can put into them is great, and the premise of this one really caught me. The idea that humanity has become infertile and a baby hasn't been born in 18 years, and at the same time the world has collapsed and only Britain soldiers on, is without any doubt fascinating. The attachment that you make with the main character and the pregnant woman is just great, as you know these two are a hope for humanity's future. I really just can't get over the level of coolness to this idea. The film is shot in a way where everything feels like something that you'd see on the news. Lots of dollying and lots of prolonged shots filmed with a handheld Steadicam are used, and they help the world in the film seem more real. The movie is just so damn well made, and since I like watching these kinds of movies, it really is hard not to like it, at least for me. Any fan of sci-fi should watch this. Anyways, that concludes this video guys, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Goodbye.